Welcome back to my podcast, The Invisible Reality, where I discuss the well-kept secret of loss. Today, I want to be vulnerable and share my own story of loss. It is heavy and heartfelt, but I truly believe that to reveal the secret of loss, it has to be spoken, verbalized, aired out, and brought into the light. The first loss I remember was my grandfather's. I was 14. He battled the effects of diabetes, eventually losing his leg, becoming bedridden, and on Easter Sunday, April 20th, 2020, or not 2020, 2014, he passed away. The Monday after, my mom was waiting for me where I was walking from the bus stop. This was a rare sight. I was at first excited and was walking with my friend and wondered what she was doing there. But as I got closer, I saw an expression on her face and my excitement turned to worry. When I reached her, she hugged me and whispered, "Your grandfather has passed." I melted in her arms and let out a wail. I didn't even care that my classmates could hear me. I wanted to fall to my knees, but her embrace kept me upright. My grandfather was one of the most important male figures in my life. I spent summers at my grandparents' house. When we lived nearby, I went there every day, sometimes even leaving for school from their home. I remember rides in his old red and white Ford pickup with the crank windows, watering the grass and my grandmother's plants, visiting his blind friend, Mr. Valentine, and watching him play the lottery, and sometimes playing my birthday for his numbers. In an instant, all of that was gone. My first thought after the shock was, where's Grandma? How is she? She had been with my grandfather since she was 16. I couldn't imagine one without the other. I was reassured that she wasn't alone when he passed, but still, my mind wandered about how she was. After that, we didn't talk much about it. The pain quietly settled inside of us. We might have shared stories about our memories of him, but we never really addressed the loss or how it changed us. That's when I learned the unspoken truth about grief. We hurt together and alone, but we rarely talk about it. At the funeral, I noticed my grandma wasn't crying. I thought maybe I shouldn't either. I felt I had to be strong for others, just like they were, even though I was breaking inside. And that's what happens. We mask our pain, keep moving, neglect, and forget to return to it. It becomes a habit, a cycle of unprocessed hurt. And in 2017, I experienced it again. Someone I considered a brother, a year older than me, was killed in a hit and run. He was my mother's ex-boyfriend's son, but we stayed in touch. When I found out from his cousin and mutual friends, I was devastated. I ran to tell my mom, and all she said was, "Okay." Okay? Someone was murdered, left on the side of the road, fighting for his life alone, and all she could say is okay. I felt hurt, angry, and heartbroken all at once. But then I remembered that it wasn't just about his passing, it was about the premise. It was a broken relationship that she had to remember to get to remembering who the person I was referring to was. So I can only imagine the hurt that she had, and that's probably why she said okay. I locked myself in the bathroom, turned on the shower, blasted music, and sobbed on the shower floor. That's when my depression began. Schoolwork slipped. I buried myself in TV. I didn't even want to be in school, but my teachers and my counselors cared. They gave me extensions, classes to go to the art room to work through my emotions creatively. I was just floating day by day, trying to survive. My counselor suggested talking to my mom about my struggles, but I didn't want her to. I still don't know if she called my mother, because my mother never brought it up. Then came 2020, what I call the year of loss. During COVID, I lost my grandmother. My mom called me at work to tell me to come home. She told me when I arrived home that my grandma had passed after her health declined from contracting COVID. Despite her age and health conditions, she had never seemed worried. All that year, she would calmly, continuously say to me, "Let be what is." I didn't understand it then, but now I think she knew her time was coming. I last saw her during our shared birthday week, which is the end of June, and she died exactly 2 months later. That depression that began years ago deepened. My grandma was in my heart at that moment, my true mother, the one I wanted, the one I wish I had. When she died, I wanted to go with her. I prayed daily, asking God to take me in my sleep. Every day I hated waking up, hated that God didn't answer that prayer. Then my mom suggested therapy, not knowing about these prayers or my feelings towards her at the moment. I believe motherly instinct and God's discernment told her I was in the hole I couldn't climb out of. I tried therapy for 6 months, took medicine for a while, stopped on my own, and dated someone retrospectively who made things worse mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. By 2022, I had reached my lowest point without realizing it. Slowly, God began waking me up. I had to work my way back to Him. I went from ignoring and blaming Him for all of my pain to thanking Him for the good. Looking back, I'm glad His will prevailed over mine, because there were times I might not have been here and I might have let go of my life or my will to live. In December of 2022, I lost my stepbrother. In March 2023, I lost my uncle, another father figure to me. My brother died from an asthma attack. My uncle battling diabetes and depression. He had lost his sister and mother in the span of a year. I watched the light leave his eyes. I think he was ready to go, but my selfishness knew I wanted him to stay. When the doctors told us that we should come and say goodbye when he was in the hospital, God whispered it was time. Yet I still pleaded for his life. I sobbed the entire drive from Virginia to DC, knowing but not wanting to accept it. Loss is a part of life, but that doesn't mean we're ready for it. It hurts. It's cruel. Then came my most recent, most painful losses, my children. In November 2024, I miscarried my daughter, which we named Emariah, in the first trimester. In July 2025, I gave birth prematurely to my son, Braysden, in the second trimester. He lived for about an hour. Both experiences were traumatizing and heartbreaking. I'd never think that I would go through such thing. I heard that losing a child is the most unbearable pain, but I never thought that day would come for me. The heartbreak is indescribable. I think of God's sacrifice, his son dying on the cross, beaten, crucified, and dying innocently for sinful beings, and wonder if it's even a fraction of what he felt. But God knew where his son was going. I can only imagine where my babies are, but I believe they're in heaven. Right now I hold on to Matthew 19:13 to 15. Jesus called the children to him, and I believe my babies are right there, close to Jesus. As I reflect on my losses, I realize I've always focused on others' pain to avoid my own. I'm an empath. I feel deeply for others. Even in my own grief, I think about how others are hurting. When I lost Brayston, I thought about my sister and my godmother, who had both lost children of their own. I knew my pain was resurfacing their wounds, bringing back years of hurt that they've carried in silence. Loss has been my constant companion, but so has God's grace. And here in the invisible reality, I want to tell these stories so we can stop carrying them alone. We need to remember, to all who have experienced loss, you are not alone. God is in the midst. At the very least, and at the very most, everything in between is secondary.